Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Today, I present to you a queen representing the state of both Pennsylvania and New Jersey. She has been in the mortgage industry for over 25 years. Her journey has been nothing short of fulfilling as she gets to collaborate with her husband and sons daily, forming a dynamic team that finds joy in assisting families in achieving their dreams. Currently, she calls South Jersey home, where she lives with her husband, three wonderful sons, and her cherished dog, Parker. Terri specializes lies in both purchase and refinance transactions. Over the years, she has honed her skills to guide clients through the intricate process of securing a new home or optimizing their current mortgage. For her, it's not just about transactions, it's about creating meaningful connections. She is dedicated to going above and beyond for her clients and referral sources alike. Her financial goals became her mission, and she takes pride in being a trusted partner during this crucial time in your life. She has over 25 years of mortgage experience. She's a top cross-country loan originator. She's a Scotsman's Guide winner for over 10 years, a Scotsman Guide top female loan originator, the #1 Latino mortgage originator in the Northeast. She's the founder of the TMI coaching company. You can get in contact with Terri at email terri.parker@ccm.com or her phone number 856-776-6886. Ladies and gentlemen, please give it up for Terri.
Hey! Thank you so much for having me. I'm so grateful.
Thank you for sharing your time with me. A true honor and pleasure.
Thank you. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, wonderful. So I'm very excited and very grateful. And so it's so nice to officially meet you.
Likewise, same to you. Same to you. Terri, what made you want to get into the mortgage industry? And do you remember how you got your first client?
Oh, yes, 100%. So I kind of fell into the mortgage industry because I worked at a doctor's office many, many, many years ago, back in the 90s. And the mortgage company that a coworker worked for was getting sued. Sounds terrible, but that's what was happening. And they needed someone to speak Spanish to help the mortgage company. And he asked me if I wanted a side job to do it. And of course I said yes, because I wanted to help them. Long and short is the mortgage company won the lawsuit, and then they offered me a job. And that's kind of how my mortgage career began. But I got my first client when working with that mortgage company because they had me calling clients that were delinquent. And when I called clients that were delinquent, I thought to myself, well, these people don't want to not pay a mortgage because they don't want to. There's obviously a reason why they are not paying their mortgage on time. And so I was able to identify, well, hey, maybe if we give them a new loan and get them current, we can kind of help them in their hardship. And that's kind of when I realized I was a mortgage salesperson at that time.
Yeah, good stuff. Good stuff. What do you think was the turning point in your career journey where your eyes lit up? You're like, I'm staying here for good. This is me.
The feeling that I had in my gut when I saw how people feel when they're buying a house. It was a feeling. It wasn't like a aha moment or anything. It was a feeling that I got when clients were so happy and they were so appreciative of the part that I played in that process for them. It was really cool.
No, of course, of course. And what's the most misunderstood thing about you, your industry, or your work? Would you say?
Well, one, I'm a business owner and a woman, so let's be real. That's not always easy, and that's of course sometimes misunderstood, right? And so it's definitely difficult. But I think sometimes when women are direct, it can come off sometimes as being abrasive or short or whatever. And so I try to very much be sweet and caring and understanding so that when I'm busy and I'm being direct, it doesn't come across the wrong way.
No, totally, totally. No, transparency is everything. What do you think? What do you think's the biggest misconception people have about buying or selling in today's world?
That they have the ability to do so, period. And that, so many, especially my bilingual clients that are, immigrants or that have come here, they don't really realize that you can buy, a house with, no income documentation or credit issues or, just the ability to do so. Like, not to be a salesperson on here, but we can do loans with someone that has no credit score as a perfect example. And so many clients don't know that. And so I try to focus on educating clients to show them that, it is possible. Like, como se dice en español, que sí se puede.
Yeah, no, you're totally right. When there's a will, there's a way, and you get creative. I tell people that there's three ways to get into a club. Either you get in line, or you pay VIP, or there's that third way. You get in through the back. You get in through the DJ. You just know the security guard. It seems like you know how to find that third way with your deals.
Yeah, I'm like, I gotta tell you, you're like speed racing here with the questions. I'm like, whoo, I gotta think about
it. You're funny, I would say. If you could change one thing about the industry, what would it be and why?
It would be that people are more about other people than themselves. And so I believe, and I say this to a lot of my new employees as well, I believe that if you, and again, you need to take care of yourself and you have to, be healthy and all that stuff. But I think a lot of times people do transactions for their own benefit. Maybe that loan's not the best for that client, but they're making, more commission or just commission in general. And then they're not really putting, the customer in the best position. For example, maybe a poor home inspection. And, the realtor or the loan officer is like, well, we really need this to close because I need this commission. And so, let's work through this home inspection. But that there's a big underlying issue there. And clearly it's not my job to negotiate home inspections, but I believe you should be doing what's best for someone else before yourself. I truly, truly believe that.
No, yeah, you're totally right. That's being empathetic right there, I would say.
It's something that's missed in our industry. And I'm not trying to bash all the loan officers out there because my loan officers know that I love them. But I do think that is a problem, especially for people that are not top producers. Sometimes they can be driven by the money that they need instead of putting the customer in the best position for them.
No, you're totally right. No, you bring up a good point, Terry. You bring up a good point. Said the underlying over a transaction can determine it can fuel human behavior in ways that couldn't be ethical, I would say.
Even saying to somebody, I think there was a lawsuit recently, not that I want to touch on it and get into it, but I think there was a lawsuit recently where a loan officer was indicted over, doing loans and telling the customer hey, say it's a primary residence, your rate's going to be better or your terms are going to be better. But in reality, that customer is not going to live there. And so that's borderline a whole bunch of other issues. But the primary issue is that you're kind of steering that customer and putting them in a position that can, potentially create a liability for them. And so, some loan officers will look at it and say, well, I'm really just trying to help them and give them the better rate and give them the better terms. But I'm like, really what you're doing is putting them in a liable situation for their future. And so I wouldn't be able to sleep at night doing stuff like that. So it's just, it's a gray area in our business and people I think need to be careful.
No, you're totally right. And doing our due diligence is the most important thing, and making sure everything is we dot our I's and cross our T's. What's the most courageous decision you made recently, and how did it impact you?
Oh my gosh, this one's easy. So I recently just purchased our first ever commercial building, which is where I am right now. And I'm so excited about it. It was terrifying, I have to be honest with you. And I usually try to be a very prepared person. I like to understand things and know what I'm getting myself into and things like that. I had no idea what commercial purchasing was like once I was in it. So that was a really interesting experience. But it was scary because, of course, we were, over budget. We didn't prepare in advance. Of course, I wanted everything, top notch and all the bells and whistles. I wanted a great working environment for my team. I wanted a beautiful place for my clients to come. But I think what happened towards the end is that I accepted that long-term, this is a great investment for my family and in my business because it's going to create a better experience for everyone. And so I kind of accepted it, but it definitely was a terrifying experience, and it was a big milestone in my career and my life.
No, I congratulate you for making the move. You're leading from the front, setting the culture up for the whole organization. And I'm sure you're giving everyone the user experience that they like. Either you like what you do, you like who you work with. It seems like you're giving that both to everybody in your organization.
Absolutely. I tried to get everybody to like design their workspace, give their input of, what do they want the desk to look like? What do they want the flow to look like? And I had the leadership team really be involved of like where everyone's going to go. And so I just didn't come up with my own, objective. I really invited the input of everyone else. And then I think I had everybody's buy-in when we got here. Everybody's like super excited. We already had a couple client walk-ins, and it's just been the feedback from the community, even around where the building is, has been awesome. As a matter of fact, we just got nominated for Business of the Year for the township that we built our building in. And so it's just so many awesome things. Really cool.
No, it sounds like you're having some grand moments, some poignant moments. So I cheers to that. What's the next big thing we should expect in industry, and how are you contributing to it? Are you using artificial intelligence yet in your day-to-day things, or is that something that you thinking about incorporating?
So I'm not using that, and I'm old school, right? Because I'm old. Don't let's get real. I'm going to be 50 this year, so I'm a little bit older, and so I'm adapting slowly to all these technical changes. What I've done is I leverage my staff that is better at those things than I am. For example, I have two in-house marketing associates that handle like my social media, my chat GPT, and like all this kind of stuff and everything. And so I lean on them to use those resources. I don't really use them. I really want to remain being like my authentic self. And so I haven't really changed into creating like automated systems like that just yet, which I know that I need to make that adjustment. Change is difficult, but I'm kind of doing it slow. And I just want to make sure that as I make those automated changes, that I remain authentic, because people are coming here because of us. And I don't want to lose sight of that,
No, 1,000%. Yeah, no, people buy. Yeah, people buy into your brand, your personal story. They gravitate towards that. So I totally get it. But yeah, but hopefully things unfold the way they should for you, and you keep growing with that.
Yeah.
You don't have to answer this, Terry, but how do you handle criticism or negative feedback about your work if it's ever occurred?
This is actually a very good question, and I'm going to tell you why. This is probably the best question that you're going to ask me, okay? And I'm going to tell you why that is. For many, many years, now keep in mind, I've done this almost 30 years. For many, many years, I was a good loan officer, but I was not always the best manager, and I was not always the best leader. I was very dramatic. I was very dictative. I was very operating in a fear, mindset. Like I want to be a top producer. I want to be profitable and things like that. And up until about, I'm going to say 8 or 9 years ago, I joined Cross Country Mortgage. And when I got here, I was kind of just leaning forward, not in the best light. I was trying to meet all the expectations they had of me as far as like production and, this, big shot that they thought that I was. And so basically, through the leadership here, they connected me with the right people to teach me and mentor me how to be a good leader and a good boss and a good role model. And so what happens is people that have not worked with me in the last 8 years may criticize me and say, oh, she's not a good manager. She's not a good leader. You don't want to work there. And, all these types of things. But what they don't realize is that people learn, they grow, and they change, just like I have. I would honestly say professionally, I'm not the same person that I was even 5 years ago, not even maybe 3 years ago, to be honest. I noticed the growth in myself. I let many people say, oh my gosh, if people worked for you now that worked for you years ago, they wouldn't even believe it's the same person. And so I try to just push that out because I do believe that people change and I think they improve. And I think that people should give them the chance to prove that. And if they want to criticize and stuff, that's kind of their own space. And I really don't want to let that negativity affect who I am today.
No, totally. No, although you've done your 10,000 hours, you're still a student of the game. You're still a sponge absorbing knowledge, I would say. Do you invest in a coach, or what do you think has been that shift in the past 3 years?
Well, I did have a coaching company. I was paying a little under $4,000 a month for. I was in a coaching program called the Core Training for 7 years. They helped me, honestly triple my income, but also help with leadership and budget and profit and loss and, being a business person. But I think the bigger thing is aligning myself with mentors like, Ron, who owns Cross Country, or Scott Foreman, and just seeing like when you failed, how they still believed in you. So often in the past, the CEOs that I worked for, or the leadership that I worked for, like I would fail and you'd get that reprimanding call. And so then you're still operating in fear, like you let somebody down. And the difference here with the mentors I have now is like when you fail, they're like, that's okay. That's supposed to happen, but it's fine. Like I believe in you and here's what you need to do different. Have you thought about doing it this way? Have you thought about doing it that way? And they've actually asked me questions so that I can walk through it myself. And when you slow down and you walk through it, you're like, yeah, maybe I shouldn't have done that. Or maybe I shouldn't have said that. Or maybe I shouldn't have thought of it that way. And then you have, that open dialogue. And I think that's a really changing moment if you coach someone. So I've learned from that. And then 2 years ago, October was 2 years, I started my own coaching company called TMI. Very pumped about that. I have 23 students right now from all different types of businesses. And so to make a long story short, I'm really super pumped about it because I've been able, thank you. I've been able to pass, pay that forward to other people and see the changes in them. And that's probably been the biggest thing that I appreciate right now in my career, to be honest with you, is that.
No, I'm sure it is. Yeah, 'cause after a while, the monetary value, the elasticity probably goes like this, like less than zero or something. Right now, you're chasing fulfillment almost. So like,
yes,
you're really, and you're hoping others reverse engineer the whole process. Here's your output. These are the inputs you need to get your output. So you're really like becoming a shepherd, just guiding the sheep, I would say.
I'm going to tell you, it sounds so corny to say because, so many people will be like, not going to get on here and be like, yeah, I don't care about money because that would just be like a lie, really, right? But I mean, honestly, right? But I will tell you that anybody that works for me, especially my loan officers, they know that my number one goal is that I legitimately want to change their life. Like I want to change. Like one of my loan officers just put her offer in on her second home in Florida. And like, I kid you not, I was so happy for her. She was literally like, you would think it was like your wedding day or something because I was so happy for her. Like I literally was like ecstatic. And she went ahead and shared that with everybody. Like it's so awesome to work for somebody that is like so genuinely excited for you. But I really want to kind of like somebody did that for me, right? If it wasn't for somebody teaching me and giving me the opportunity, I would not be standing here today. And so it's nice to now, 27 years later, be able to do that for somebody else. It's like the coolest thing, actually, to be honest.
Yeah, of course. It's like a full circle moment almost. I'm
It's
sure.
really cool.
Yeah, keep bringing up the champagne. Keep bringing up the confetti for everybody, for yourself and on your team. What's the story behind your most memorable success or failure?
I think the most memorable success was actually people wanting to hire me as a coach in the first place because you're like, oh my God, people really want to hear what I have to say. And they really look at me like I can actually teach them something. And to me, that's like the epiphany of a compliment in my career. So I would, right now in my life, I would say there's a lot of monetary things like, investment properties and commercial buildings and all this monetary stuff. And that's all successes too, obviously. But the biggest success right now for me, I think, is having people want to hire me to teach them. And so that would be the biggest success. The biggest failure that I've had recently was, of course, coming to cross country, getting this amazing sign-on bonus, having this great package put together, them welcoming me with open arms, and then me failing 17 times over, being negative on my P&L, not knowing how to manage people, and, kind of falling on my face, getting run over by that bus 18 times, but then being able to pick myself back up and saying, okay, I don't want to make these mistakes again. Who can teach me not to make these mistakes? And having such an amazing leadership team here that instead of saying like, hey, this girl's not going to work out, let's let her go. They, they helped me, make sure I didn't lose my connection here with. There we go. Okay. I think we're good.
Perfect.
Good?
Yep. So you're saying, yeah, so you had persistence and perseverance from when I got out of that. Then just getting yourself from out of that hole and just having blind faith
There we go.
almost.
Okay.
Tunnel.
So yeah, so I think that would be my biggest failure that I've learned from. And yeah, I want to try to learn from my mistakes quickly and make myself better to help other people. I can only help other people if I make myself better. I feel, honestly.
Not good for you, Terri. Good for you. Not only are you hoping families with generational wealth to come, but you're hoping individuals or human beings like change their whole trajectory in life too, which is like, I applaud you for that one. Who or what inspires or influences you the most in your work in 2024?
Repeat that one more time.
Who or what inspires or influences you the most in your work?
So I would say who is inspiring me right now. It sounds really silly to say this, but it's my children that I work with every day. Is both of my sons work with me, and seeing them become so successful and so smart and so motivated and implement their own styles of how they do things is really influential to me. That I had a little part in that, and also to see where kind of like forecast where they're going to be later. And that is like super like influencing, that I want to be better so that I can kind of set things up for them. So I'm not here, they can take it all over. Right. And so that's really cool. And then inspiring, I have two mentors. They probably don't even know that they are mentors because I kind of stalk them on secret. One is Shayla Gifford. I met her in the core training program many years ago. She's not in the program anymore either, but she's very successful businesswoman, and she's very like authentic and very natural. I would say her and I have a lot of similarities, and so I always like watch her and communicate with her, and she's just phenomenal. And also Scott Foreman, who is one of the leaderships here across country. He's a very, very, very successful businessman, but he also is like so down to earth that if I called his cell phone right now, as busy as he is, he would pick up the phone and he would help me with whatever I needed. He's just been a great mentor, and just very like, again, like, you would think that he makes $5 an hour and that, he only works 40 hours a week and he's available for you all the time. But in reality, that's really not the case. And so I just appreciate the leadership example that he sets, and makes me want to follow kind of how he is, to be honest with you.
No, those are good. I think that's a response. That's a great answer. I would say it's a great answer. Switching gears just a little bit. If you could have dinner with any historical figure, who would it be and why?
So I like having dinner with Ron. I know I'm like on a cross country kick, but I've had dinner with him a couple times. But this is a guy, first of all, he scares the living shit out of me, first of all, okay? And he's like the most down to earth person, but he really like is intimidating. He's very short. He's very direct. He's very like, he'll walk in with like jeans and a t-shirt on, and he's like super built, and you're like, oh my God, this guy's like super scary. But he's like the most loving person, but he's also, honestly, I feel like he's like a genius. He knows how to manage people. He knows how to build wealth. He knows how to get people to rise. He knows how to motivate people through failure. He knows how to support people. I mean, he's probably one of the people that like one of the persons I've met in my entire life that has motivated me probably more than anyone else, that has kind of showed me that I can basically do anything, literally. So it's pretty like having dinner with him and just hearing him say like, I do my own wash, I don't have a cleaning lady, this is a person that is like, makes millions and millions of dollars a year. And to see how down to earth he is, it kind of just shows me so many things. Like, don't forget where you came from, don't take anything for granted, continue to work hard, continue to learn. And like, you can have dinner with him for 30 minutes and walk out with all those examples,
It's all right. Yeah, no, you're learning absolutes, facts, and gems from somebody like that. I would say, that definitely worth the money. Terry, what we do today usually plays out 3 months from now. So we're in the beginning of October. If someone were to come, hypothetically, if someone were to come to you today wanting to join your team, what would be your advice for them to maybe close out a transaction before the year ends? And what's your advice for them to really have like a strong 2025 and really like take off?
So first part is for them to have a strong 2025. Everyone that you ask, a professional is probably going to say, have a business plan, have a plan, write it down. Like those are all things that we know, all those things we know, right? Mm-hmm. But the biggest thing I would say is that you got to start doing the work now to have a successful 2025. So the business plan and the roadmap and all that's great and all that is necessary. But it's really putting in the effort now, building the basics now, having the perfect work week in the organization now is what is going to create a good 2025, building relationships, networking events, all that kind of good stuff. And I forget the first part of your first question. What was the first part again?
What would be your advice to maybe close a transaction before the year ends?
So one is I would make sure that no one files their taxes until they tell their accountant that they purchased the house before the end of the year. Because so often clients, especially in the ethnicity that I do loans, sometimes, they're new to the United States and they're just not super familiar with how things work. And so I would say one is make sure that you can afford what you're buying. Think about the, now and a year from now and 5 years from now. Think about what your needs are. Don't settle, right? Sometimes people are like, I want a garage, I want central air conditioning, I want, a payment of $2,000. And then they walk into a house with a remodeled kitchen, the payment's $2,500. It doesn't have the central air, it doesn't have the garage, but they love the kitchen and they're like, I'm going to get it. And the payment's $2,500. And now 6 months later, they're coming back to me saying either A, they can't afford the payment, or B, they don't love the house because it didn't have the this and that and whatever. So my thing is, as a client, I would say, write down the things that you absolutely want to have and write down a plan of like where you want your budget and your financial plan to be. And when we do intake with clients, those are the things that we ask them to make sure that we're setting them up for, for as close to what they want as possible. But, I also think, understanding what the process is, not just when you're buying a house and the mortgage process, but even after that, every year, look at your homeowner's insurance. Talk to your insurance agent and see, if their auto can be bundled to get that down. Don't just, buy a house, set your mortgage and set it and forget it. You should be, managing that property like the investment that it is. And so there's a lot of things that go into that, which is why we stay in constant contact with our clients and why we tell them like, hey, we're going to call you when it's time to make your first payment. We're going to call you to remind you to have the proper documents to file your taxes. We're going to ask if you have a financial planner or refer you to one. Like we want to be that person's mortgage source, or I want to be that person's mortgage source forever. I want them to see value in choosing us.
No, you're totally right. No, you're giving the whole shebang. 5 customer user experience, I would say, beginning to end, A through Z. What's the biggest lesson you've learned in your career so far?
One is to have mentors. 1. 2 is to communicate. Even this week at my office, we had an issue, right? Like every businesses have issues. And I think most issues stem from communication, like clear communication. And having clear communication is not always easy to have because especially as women, we get like feelings and we get emotional, we get our feelings hurt. Like sometimes people think that as leaders, we're like robots and stuff, but we're not. We're just people like everybody else, especially women leaders. And so I think sometimes when you run into any type of hardships or issues or anything like that, I think communicating quickly fixes those issues. And so no matter how long you've been in business, whether it's 5 years, 10 years, 30 years, whatever, I think it all goes back to the basics, which stems from good, clear communication. And so it's just a constant reminder and a lesson. And so that would be what my advice would be to people is communicate quickly, even when things are going well and when things are not going well. Just constantly have clear communication, even if it's uncomfortable to have. I think on both sides. And I promote that to my team members. I'm like, hey, listen, if you're like having a bad day, I don't want to get involved in your personal business, but if you're off, I'd rather you talk to me about it. So if your performance is not lining up, then I know that you're just going through a period of time in your life that is difficult. And I'm understanding of that because they're human too. And I just want to be like another level of support so that my business is running effectively, but that they're as, happy and healthy as possible. I don't want anybody being upset and stuff.
No, you're taking all the proper steps and being precautious, and you're really aligning all the synergies, so that everyone's on the same page. You're being completely transparent. So I totally get what you're saying. Good for you, I would say. And what do you think is the key to maintaining a work-life balance, and how do you apply it in your life?
Well, I'll be honest with you, that is a struggle every single solitary day. Okay. Like anybody that says, I work 40 hours a week, I leave at 5, I get up in the morning and I run 10 miles is like not every day. And I highly doubt it. And so I think, to be successful, it takes a lot of hard work. There is no lucky in being successful. I firmly believe that. It's a lot of grit. It's a lot of effort. It's a lot of hours. It's a lot of hard work. It's like building a foundation one brick at a time. And so being a mom, a grandmom, having now lupus and ulcerative colitis and those other health issues and stuff, it's hard to kind of balance and handle everything. But what I will say is when I notice that something is off, let's say my schedule's off on my perfect work week, or I'm staying a little later, like I'm getting, might stay at the office till 8 o'clock at night, then I try to correct that as quickly as possible. That would be what it is. And so when I see the work-life balance getting like off, I try to be aware of that and correct it and start over and not be so hard on myself and say, oh gosh, now everything stinks and I'm working till 9 o'clock at night and I'm like this big failure. I'm like, no, I got off track and I need to just get back on that bike and get back on track and just start over the very next day and try again. And that's, I think, where I am right now. And my balance is trying to figure it all out. Like, obviously, mortgages is my number one business. That's my focus. That's 90% of my day. But I do own a coaching company now. And I do have many investment properties. And I am starting a new title company. And so I have, we do commercial lending. And so there's a lot of stuff going on. So, being able to do all that with a perfectly, great life work balance is difficult. But on days like today where I'm like, I want to see my grandkids, guess what? I'm leaving at 5:30. I'm going to go see my grandkids and everything else will be there tomorrow. And like, that's fine. And so it's just, I think, more prioritization than life work balance.
Yeah, you're totally right. Yeah, dude, what are your prioritization is totally key. And you're a true champion, Terry. You're a true champion. You continue to show up to battle even when facing adversity in your personal life, I would say. Yeah, and I hope you can cherish your time today with the grandchildren. Maybe take a picture, some videos. Those are definitely priceless.
Thank you.
Of course. And what's the most challenging aspect of being in your role in today's world out of everything?
I would say growth, because my drive is like as big as this entire state. I think like I want to do thousands of loans a month. I'm never satisfied. I want to be like mega successful. And I look at Shayla and I'm like, I can do what she's doing. She's not a robot. She's not a superhero. I can do that. I can do what Scott's doing. He's not a robot. He's not a superhero. But sometimes you can kind of get lost in that because you're trying to like skip the steps that are necessary to get there. And so I just have to remind myself that there's steps in order to get there. And I got to kind of stay on that path, like slow and steady wins the race. Do you know what I mean? And so I think that is kind of what one of my struggles is right now, is reminding myself that, yeah, I want to own 17 different companies and I want to be successful. But the truth of the matter is I probably only have 15 years left in my career. And so I have to choose like, okay, in the next 15 years, what is it that I really want? And how am I really going to get there? And if I skip all the steps and I try to rush to be as big as I want to be and do as much production as I want to be, then I'm probably going to fail again. So it's more of like a reminder that you can't skip the steps, right? It's like somebody new starting and working for you for 3 years and they go, I'm quitting because I can do what she's doing and I can do it better and I can go start my own company and this, that, and the other thing. And, more power to you. I hope that you can do it, right? I really do. But chances are is that they're not seeing all the work that has already gone into being there in the first place. You know what I mean?
No, totally, totally. No, you 1000% have that tenacity, Terry. You 1000% have that tenacity. You're a go getter. You're result driven, super pragmatic, I would say.
Thank you.
um, so what would you say your part? What are your goals for these next 5 to 10 years, then, if you don't mind sharing?
Well, I want to create a good business to leave to my son to run so that he can have a good balanced life and he can have the best team in place. And I also look at the team that I have now. A lot of the employees I have now are in their, mid 20s, early 30s. So this is the career for them. And so if I'm a good leader for them now, then they'll be on my son's team 10 years ago, 15 years from now when I check out. You know what I mean? And so where I really see myself 15 years from now is sitting in my beach house in Myrtle Beach, coaching 2 or 3 times a week, right? Helping other people with all of my experience and just referring loans into my son, who I left a good business to, and then being able to enjoy seeing my staff like have babies and get married and buy houses and getting to see them do all those things. And so I'm hoping that in 15 years, that's what it's going to look like.
Yeah, I hope you manifest, and I hope you get to enjoy everyone starting new chapters in their lives.
Me too.
Yeah. Oh, what do you think's the take? What's your take on the future of the industry? What just occurred in August? Do you think that's going to be affecting a lot of a large pool of your buyers, or do you think this is going to be something that's going to just continue go smooth sailing? Will just occur in August of buyers having to sign agreements with their buyer agents right off the gate, off breaks.
Personally, I think that it's going to be totally fine because the agents that run their business professionally are going to have no issues communicating. And let's be real, everybody should have been doing this already anyway. Like, we've had to make huge adjustments with Dodd-Frank and, all the adjustments we've had to make. During COVID, we were doing no points. Then everybody had to pay points. And like, we just quickly adjusted. And I think realtors are going to do the same thing. I think they're going to quickly adjust. I think it's going to be fine. And I think everybody's going to get really creative on ways to help buyers and, and say, hey, the seller's not willing to pay that commission. You got to pay the buyer's agent. But hey, maybe you're working with a lender that's willing to give you a grant or a lender credit. And now you can apply that money to the buyer's agent commission. And so I think if you have the right partners and you work with the right people that communicate well, I think it's going to be just fine. And I think that sometimes in the mortgage industry and the real estate industry, we can sometimes be very dramatic and focus on all the problems and things like that. And I think if everybody stays on the focus of like help other people achieve the goal they have set out to achieve and communicate, and everything's going to be just fine.
No, well said. Well said. Yeah, everything should work out the way how it should be. And Terry, what's one of your favorite books, podcasts, or articles that had a significant impact on your life or work? Would you say?
Well, recently we had a speaker at a cross-country event. The gentleman's name was Terry Watson. And I have to say, it takes a lot to impress me. Like, I'm like, oh gosh, another speaker, right? But if you're not like, Rick Ruby or, Tony Robbins, then, I'm kind of like, oh God, that means what text do I got to return next or whatever. But, being honest, right? Because, when you're doing this for a long time, you hear a lot of the same things like, perfect work week and, time management and work balance. And, it's all like, okay, but tell me what your failures were and how you fixed it. Not really what the end game is, And so like, tell me, like, give me the actual examples. Like I did this, I fell on my face. This is how I fixed it. This is what I did. And so that is really what I want to hear from somebody. But long and short is we had a speaker, his name was Terry Watson. He was awesome. And he gave us like a different examples. Some of the things he shared was like, hey, when you're communicating with buyers, buyers will receive information as a picture, an article, or a video. And that can like solidify what you're saying to a customer verbally, like give them the data. And I was like, wow, that's pretty good, right? Like how often do we go over like a payment closing cost with the customer? And then the customer at the end says, you never went over the payment with me. And then your loan officer's like, of course I did. I did it 19 times. And you signed these disclosures 3 times. And the customer's like, yeah, but I just clicked the documents. I never really actually read it, which happens often, right? But what if you gave them a loan estimate in the very beginning, a general one, and you circled, hey, client, this is where your closing costs are going to be. This is where your payment's going to be. In your process, look out for this document. look out for where these numbers are going to be right here, even though I'm going to go over with you, multiple times. Now the customer's like mentally like, okay, I get that. I see that. I know where it's going to be. I'm going to look out for it. And so that was one of the takeaways I got from him. And I was like, that's a really good idea. And so just little things like that. I thought he was like really impressive. So that would be the one right now.
No, truly, like what? Yeah, I'm sure most bars, I don't even think look at the amortization schedule. I don't think they realize that they're signing on, like when they go to closing, they're signing that they're not going to start paying more principal than interest until year 20, year 21. Yet they're probably going to refinance or sell within 7 to 12 years. So
yeah, I mean, it's up to us to be the professional and show them, and go over that with them. But to be honest, again, sometimes talking to the wife and not the husband, and you're talking to the husband and not the wife, and then they don't talk and, things like that. And so I really thought his advice of, maybe even creating an article like, hey, this is why you're going to choose me as your lender. And this is what my experience is. And this is why other customers have chose me. And also in your process, these are the things that you need to know. And these are the things you need to look out for. And these are the things we're going to go over, and make that part of your consultation. And then I think the customer has something in the mail. They have something in front of them. They have it on their phone. I thought that was pretty good on his part. And those are some of the implementations that we're going to make here.
Yeah, you're continuously fine tuning your whole process. I would say from all your mentors, you're always fine tuning.
My poor staff. That's what I'm going to say. They're probably like, oh my god.
Yeah, right. No, you're totally right. You're right. It's hard to teach an old dog new tricks. So like a lot of people don't like the unknown for some reason. But I'm sure you lean from the front, you'll make it happen. And Terri, how do you explain to somebody like at a third grade level, like their wage growth is probably on average, it's probably only going to go up like 2 or 3%. The home that they like is probably going to go up 5 to 6% due to inflation. So how do you explain to someone right now is actually the best time to buy instead of waiting for rates to drop? Because if rates drop, more buyers come in, and chances are you're not even going to get hope of closing.
So I show them statistics, and I give them like actual numbers. Like a perfect example, I just did this with a customer in South Carolina recently, where I was like, listen, you're going to be buying this house for $475,000. The house 3 houses down that bought with the same builder, D.R. Horton, their house inflated $50,000 in just 9 months. And so if you had an IRA, a money market, a 401k, wherever, where do you know you're going to make $50,000 in less than a year's time? Because the facts are that's probably what that particular property is going to increase by. And so you're, again, and I don't want to sell anybody on being outside of their budget, or, clearly we approve them at a certain amount for a reason. But, I think sometimes looking at it as an investment, because in fact, it's a home. Yes, it's a home. It's where you're going to raise your family, and it's going to have all the bells and whistles so you can get your kids to the school bus and all the things. But it's also an investment. And so I like to kind of show them like how to build wealth, and then also, how to not sell that property and then buy another one. And so I just give them actual numbers, because the facts are even days on the market right now are longer than usual. I have some houses in my market right now that are, on the market for 2 months when, before it was 2 days. And so I don't really, so I'm trying to just push that through like awareness, video, statistics, data, and education. And I'm just explaining it to them very bluntly so that they can like see it.
No, totally. No, you're super transparent, super visual, I would say. And this is your third cycle. You saw the .com bubble, and you saw 08, and this is like probably your third cycle. What was 08, 09 like for you? Just if you don't mind.
Oh my gosh, this is hilarious. So I worked for a mortgage company in Long Island, New York, between 2000 and 2008. And to make a really long story short, that company was a subprime company, and I was a wholesale rep and an underwriter at the time. And so, I would do both jobs. I'd go on the road all day and go out and get loans, and then I'd go home and underwrite loans at nighttime. So it was like a 16-hour work day, which is the best experience that I could have had, because I learned how to do all these things. So as you can tell very quickly, from my experience, the one thing I do like to do is I like to work, right? It's just it's what I like to do. And so long and short is, in December of 2008, the company that I loved, that was my family, went out of business and filed bankruptcy, and it was devastating. And I went home to my husband and I was like, oh my gosh, what are we going to do? Like, I was the main breadwinner. We had this big fancy house, Mercedes-Benz paid by the company and all this stuff. And I was like, we are in trouble, And on top of it, because I was so believing in this company, I had all of my 401k and all of my stock invested 100% into this company. And exactly, you're getting where I'm getting with this. So I lost like $700,000 in like 2 days. Okay, true story. So after I had my nervous breakdown, find out I'm pregnant in the same week with my third son. True story. This is all true, by the way. I basically said to my husband, what are we going to do? And my husband said, we'll cash out whatever money is left and we'll open up a mortgage branch and you'll go back to doing retail. And I was just like, well, that's either going to work or it's not. And so we did. And we had good credit. We had a little bit of savings. And we would go into the company and we would say, hey, we want to get a copy machine. And they would say, doesn't matter you have a 740 credit score. Doesn't matter you have money in the bank. We're not leasing this copy machine to you because you're opening up a mortgage company when every other mortgage company we have right now is going out of business and closing down. We have 17,000 million copy machines that no one's paying for. And so we had to pay for everything cash. We had 32 cents left over. And we started by calling clients out of the white pages. That's how we started in end of 2008, early 2009. And we just did it. We just worked through it. We just worked hard and we did it. And it was like, we were either going to survive or we weren't. And that's what we did.
Holy smokes. That is one story, I would say. That is one heck of a story.
That's the truth.
Yeah, you are a serious workhorse. And from those 16-hour days, you really do know how to put a file together for the underwriter. So you know exactly what they're looking for. So they don't really come back at giving you all these random conditions. You really know how to just set up so you get like minimal conditions, I would say.
Yeah, I'm definitely the fix it. Like, oh my gosh, my loan doesn't work. What do I do? That's definitely, so I have one cell phone for my realtors, and then I have one cell phone for my loan officers. This is the give me a new loan phone. This is the, oh my God, can you fix my loan phone? True story.
Wow, you really are juggling a lot, I would say. Good for you. Terri, have you ever been like watching TV or like on your phone or driving and just pondering, maybe if I wasn't in mortgage, I'd like to be doing this? Is there another career you wish you could have chosen or would I like partaken in?
I cannot imagine not being a mortgage person. I feel like it sounds super corny or cliche, but I was definitely born to do this job. 100%. No question about it. And if anything, when I'm driving down the street or watching TV and I actually think about it sometimes, I'm like, I honestly can't believe it. I literally can't believe it. I just really just cannot even believe like how this career has taken my life. Now, keep in mind, not only myself and my family, my husband works with me, my two sons work with me, my third son's getting ready to start his high school internship here next year as a senior. And it's like, it changed the life of like my whole family. And so it's like, how could I even imagine doing anything else if like, it created like the legacy for like my family. And I did that through helping other families. It sounds so corny to say that, but it's literally like the truth.
Nah, true. Yeah, the truth is not continue to be everyone's sunshine or light in their lives, Terri.
Pretty cool.
What's one piece of advice you wish you had received early in your career that you think could have changed your whole trajectory or been a catalyst to your growth?
Calm down and don't be so afraid. Like, believe in yourself more. Know your self-worth. My son says this to me all the time. My son says, know your worth. Like, know that you work hard and you know your stuff. Be confident in yourself. Don't be so afraid, because when you're afraid, you act, to be honest, and I hate to say it this way on, something like this, but you can sometimes act like an ass when you're afraid. You don't even realize you're doing it. You honestly don't. Like, you're just like sometimes maybe like abrasive, or you're overworking, or your balance gets off and all of that. And really what you're saying is like, I'm afraid. Maybe I spent too much money. Maybe I overextended myself. Maybe I overhired. Maybe my salaries are too high, whatever the case may be. But you go through these little things and then you overextend yourself. But if you believe in yourself and you have confidence and you're not afraid and you know your worth and you know your shit, then you know you'll be fine. You'll be like, I'm gonna be fine. Why am I even worried about this stuff? It's gonna be fine. I'm gonna fix this in like 30 days. It's gonna fix itself and it's gonna be awesome. And then just don't lose sight of helping other people before yourself. Like, it's like, I know, like on the airplane, you put the oxygen mask on yourself and you help somebody else, right? And so I get that. But in this business, I believe that you succeed through helping other people. So if you focus on helping other people, believing in yourself, and knowing your worth, then you'll be fine.
No, well said. Well said. Terri, I feel like we have connected through this podcast episode. I only got 2 more questions for you. You know me, when I'm really old, there's a chance I might rewatch this when I'm really old. When I was 80. So like,
I'm gonna look at him cry probably. But
yeah. What's a life message you want to leave with me when I'm rewatching this?
My life message. First of all, I'll be thinking, boy, I was a lot younger then. That's for sure. But no, it's just, again, it's like I have to remind myself these things just like anybody else. It's like I'm human like everybody else. And so I think just what a true blessing that I have the ability, like that God has given me the chance to have the ability to help other people. Like doctors obviously have that ability, and nurses have that ability, and attorneys have that ability. And it's like somebody murdered somebody and the detective gets the case, and then they go to solve the case, and they can't bring the person back, but they get to tell the person like, yeah, I got that person for you, and now they're gone, and like they can't hurt anybody else. And that family feels so great. And like some of these jobs are so impactful in like the world. And I feel like being a loan officer is one of those impactful jobs. And I don't think they get enough credit for that, honestly, to be honest,
No, being a loan officer is truly rewarding, I would say. And you're right. It's because buying a house is very emotional, I would say. And then like it's really like those 30 days, 60 days where like they're with you. But after they sign, it's really like you only keep in touch like every 60 to 90 days, perhaps. So it's like it kind of gets put back on the back burner almost. But you're totally, it truly is a rewarding feeling when you see them at the closing table. It almost gives goosebumps. And Terri, what legacy do you hope to leave behind through your work when it's all said and done? How do you want people to remember you?
I want people to, this is going to sound super corny, and I say this all the time, is I want people to go, oh my gosh, she changed my life. Because somebody did that for me, right? Carla did, my mentor Carla did that for me. I would not be standing here today if it wasn't for her. I'm actually getting hot flashes talking about it because I get so emotional. And so I have a couple people in my life. Like I have a loan officer, Angie. I have a loan officer, Jen Felder. She doesn't even work for me anymore. And she still calls me once a month and says, without you, I wouldn't have this job. Without you, like I wouldn't have the things I have. Like you changed my life. Jennifer Grube calls me and says I changed her life. And it's like, I just want to do that for more people because somebody did that for me. And I think that's the coolest thing. And that doesn't even count like the people that we've sold houses to or the people that bought their businesses that we were able to do and like all those things. But it's kind of really cool to have somebody you care about. And then they come back to you and they say like, I bought a house, I got married, like my girlfriend Jen, not that it's all about money things. My girlfriend Jen bought a Porsche. My other loan officer bought a second house. Like it's cool for them. Like they come to you and they don't see what they're going to achieve yet. But if you're a good leader, you can identify like you're going to be one of the special ones. You're going to be one of the ones that's going to be able to do it. You're going to make it. And you can see that and you can feel that. And they don't even see it yet because they're like too new or whatever. And then you say to them, like, if you do the work, you're going to accomplish this, 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 and this. And they don't really see it. But then when they actually do it and then they make it there and you get to say, I told you so, that's really cool.
No, yeah, it's truly rewarding, I would say. That's also very, it's very, that's Terri, I hope you leave your mark in this world, in this planet. Maybe even write a little, maybe you write even a little book too, like 20, 50 pager, just on your life work. Because I think you have a very interesting story. And how do you get people getting in contact with you?
So I love clients, loan officers, whomever, to call my cell phone, or if you're a business owner and you're looking, for a coach, or you need some guidance, my cell phone number is 856-776-6886. Call me anytime. I'd love to connect with anybody to help.
You heard it here, ladies and gentlemen. We have a queen representing the state of Pennsylvania and also New Jersey. Terri, it was a true honor and pleasure to speak with you today. Do you have any questions, comments, or thoughts before I let you go?
No, it was just so nice meeting you. And I love that you came so prepared. And I was like, woo, yeah, whirlwind of coming at me with questions. You made me really think about stuff. So it's kind of cool. When I'm driving home, I'm definitely going to reflect on this podcast and be like, wow, lots to think about after this. So thank you for reminding me of where it all started.
Yeah, no, you've had a very interesting journey. This is like your third cycle, and you get to see probably one or two more before you hang up the cleats. So yeah, you really are taking market share, I would say.
Thank you. I appreciate it very much.
Yeah, of course, dear. Of course. Can you stay on the call for one or two more minutes, please?
Sure. Yes, absolutely.
Thank you so much.